overview of the electric motor and the flywheel clutch assembly. As you can see, that's the flywheel, that's the clutch in the middle here. This guy here is the collar that goes around the shaft, the motor shaft, and this is the pulley array. And I've got a pulley belt here, or a fan belt, and I've taped it to the motor housing till we get this actually put inside the Electric Motorhome transmission, which is going to get done today. Here's the electric motor from a different angle, and the way this works is the transmission shaft, which is this, pretend that this is this rod, the transmission shaft from the motorhome will fit inside here, and this shaft here will be turned by the clutch plate, which has splines on it. See? So that's the connection. The clutch will attach to the transmission shaft of the motorhome, and that's what will give us power or forward momentum. This motor weighs about 280 pounds, and that's lightweight because it has an aluminum casing or aluminium, depending where you're from. Now, the distance from the center of the electric motor shaft to the base feet of the electric motor is 7 inches. So this bracket here has to be around about 7 inches, pretty darn close. At least 7 inches from here to the transmission spline shaft. So I've measured that. Yep, see that little black mark there? This black mark here, that is 7 inches, and that looks like it's right. This is the throwout bearing, which is attached to this lever here. Now this lever pushes the throwout bearing forward, and that throwout bearing pushes against the clutch plate, and it releases the pressure against the flywheel. Therefore you'd lose your drive from the electric motor to this transmission. That is the whole purpose of this clutch, is to disengage the drive. So, looking good. We've had to provide support in 3 places. Right, the next step of this process is to lift the electric motor onto the shaft here. This motor's sitting a bit low, so I'm going to just pump this shop crane up a little bit. If you notice, it's just going up incrementally, then we appear to have the mechanical advantage. Alright. Come on, baby. Here is the flywheel, and it's going to set onto the transmission shaft here, and we're just slowly pushing it in, thanks to the shop crane taking all the weight. Alright, so what we can see now is the flywheel is pushed onto the transmission shaft, and the clutch is engaged, hopefully. Now, to double check that it is correctly engaged, I'm going to put the gearbox into gear, and then that should stop this rotating, should stop the motor shaft rotating. What we have now is I've put this in first gear, and you hear that? It's trying to turn the wheels. That means that we are engaged, and the motor is now mated with the transmission shaft. Woohoo! Now we've had the motor in, we were able to get the location for the holes in which to secure the feet to the bracket. So now we've got each of these holes. We've got 8 holes marked out, and you can never have too many holes, they say. And just to make sure that we cut good, we use this stuff, rapid tap cutting fluid, just the job, as seen on TV. There she goes. And we're also just starting with small holes. They will enlarge the diameter to probably like 1/2 inch or so. We've got our holes drilled out. We've made them a bit larger than normal, just so we can get a bit of play as far as the fit goes. So now we're going to put the motor back in the bracket and line it up with the transmission, and then we're going to put the bolts in. Alright, well, we had a bit of a problem getting this back in. The first time it seated straight away, of course the second time it fought us, but we've got it in. Listen, the sound of bearings not making a noise, that's what you want to hear. Here we've got the feet drilled out. We're now going to put the bolts. We've got bolts in temporarily, but now I'm going to get some fine threaded bolts to hold this guy onto the motor bracket. Once that the motor is laid out with the holes and all your bolts are in, you just got to remember to tighten everything up now. Not forgetting to use a lock washer, or a spring washer as they call them. So what do you think of that? This is great.